Hi everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. Just going to XRP once again. Thank you for your support. Okay, big the CoinsKid crew. So the market's pumping, and we need to keep an eye on a key metric going forward as well. Basically, this metric that we need to keep an eye on, it will represent whether or not this is some kind of bull trap or fake out or lower high. We need to see more money coming into this space. I'm going to show you exactly how you can see that in the charts. That it's not some kind of retracement or B wave or bull trap or whatever. We need to look at the confirmation of money actually coming into this crypto markets, and there's one key chart that you just look at and it gives you a clue to that. So I'll show you exactly what that is in a moment. But this morning there was a coin opportunity on the futures crypto blocks that I relayed to the CoinsKid crew. Look at that, extreme greed. One coin has popped out the page just there on the crypto blocks this morning, and it's already coming down a little bit, and I've relayed what that is to the CoinsKid crew in the Discord right there. Let's dive into the content and see what we can see. Okay, so this is a really important chart, and this chart we've been looking at for many years, and right now there is a technical pattern that we've looked at before in this particular chart, and it could represent the market is about to go vertical, but I need to see something in this particular chart to get really excited about that vertical that potentially exists in crypto. Right towards the end of the cycle, this is your vertical that I think is possibly in front of us right now in crypto. So basically what we've got to see in the short term is this rally here that's doing really well from our bottoms is coming up and taking out a 1.272 fib, because you can clearly see from this bottom here in November 2022, this was my primary target, the 1.272. For anyone paying attention, watching the videos on a daily basis, I said to you that's the minimal target I expect total to run to. Okay, and it's tagged it, and it's had some kind of falling wedge ABC zigzag correction right there. Got really tight on the ribbon, I think in April. Look at that, beautiful, and it's broke out. Okay, and it's coming back up the stairs, and what it's not doing, which is what Bitcoin's done, it's not putting that higher high. So this is where we've got to be careful, because if it starts to turn around, then obviously you've got some kind of double top drop here, and it's not necessarily a good look in this particular chart. Now there is a potential pattern here, and I've relayed this to you before, a possible cup and handle pattern like this, and what we've got is this big basin. We've come up into the resistance of the previous all-time high. Look at that, the 1 fib. Got this handle, we broke out and back tested the neckline of the handle, which is typically what we see. So we've had the correction, the back test, and it looks as though potentially we've got this vertical in front of us right towards the end of the 4-year cycle, pretty much where we got that in 2021. So if we do start to see the verticals, where could this particular chart go to? So my minimal target down here is obviously 1.272 fib. That's been tagged. Backtest the all-time highs support, previous resistance becomes support. There's your resistance, high low, breakout, high low. So right now if it starts to take off, I'm looking for a run to the 1.618. I think we may have a correction at 1.414, roughly 4.35 trillion, but I think we could get as high as the 5.63. and if we do start to go insanely vertical here, I don't necessarily think we're going to get all the way up there, but I do think we could get to that particular target just there, which could begin to spell the end of this crypto market, depending on what kind of structures and what kind of characteristics of the top that we see between Bitcoin and total too. Okay, so I hope you understand the update. Let's dive into the XRP chart right now, but we have to see this break. We have to see that previous pivot high in total breakout, to increase probability. Okay, this is new money coming back into the market after a correction back into the previous swing high support. We found it. We need to see this money coming back in to, this is not a bull trap, it's not a fake out, it's not some kind of market manipulation and rotation between Bitcoin and altcoins, and it is a true vertical that exists in the chart. Okay, so at the minute I can't be bearish because we're holding the ribbon, and I relayed this to you. We keep coming back to the weekly ribbon and the 5-day time frame ribbon as well, so we're doing incredibly well here in this particular chart. Okay, so I'm looking for 1.618, around about 5.63 trillion. What happens there? What is the S&P 500 doing there? Are we seeing that the higher high in total too and lower high in Bitcoin? Time will tell, but that is a primary target where I do think, for me personally, I'll begin to de-risk if we do start to see them levels tagged in this particular chart. So let's dive into the XRP chart right now to see what we can see. Okay, so looking at XRP on the daily time frame, the blue line is an indicator I made for yourselves called liquidity dance, and for anyone that's been paying attention to the updates, I got this out quite a while ago for you. Whenever we see spikes up in liquidity dance, there's always a buying opportunity for XRP. There's a spike up there, there was a spike up just there, you've got a spike up just there, and a spike up just there. And then if you look at the XRP chart, pretty much it represents bottoms. When you're seeing spikes up, liquidity is being withdrawn from crypto, and then the liquidity starts to come back in, starts to come back in, starts to come back in, and when you start to see it come back in, this is where you see XRP going in the other direction. So what we're looking at if you take a look, we've got this bottom here in July last year, which we nailed, okay? And at that point, you've got your big spike up, which is a precursor to the big dump, okay? So you see the big spike up, then you roll over, and it's a precursor. You do typically see the big spike up where liquidity is being withdrawn from the market prior to a bottom coming in, or some kind of correction, or capitulation, or selling climax. And at this point, this is why I created this indicator for you, because it's a precursor, it's a warning. There's no lag or anything like that. If you do start to see big spikes up, do expect a pullback in crypto. So if you take a look, we've got a big spike up just there. We pull back for XRP. As this came back down, XRP broke out again. And again, you got your big spike up just there. Then XRP rolled over. Is liquidity come back in? XRP came back up the stairs. Then again, you've got another big spike up just there. XRP rolled over. As this is liquidity's come back in, you see an XRP come back up the stairs. So most importantly, what we have to see in this chart, just like the breakout in total, where it breaks that range high and takes out the all-time high total, we have to see this chart doing exactly what it did here from this low. So there's your spike up. XRP came down. Beautiful buying opportunity a few days after the spike, look at that, and then XRP went sideways and broke out. But on this breakout, look at the liquidity dance. It was continuing this downtrend. At the moment, it's sort of consolidating a range. It's not making this huge drop to the downside. So we have to see this, and I think this could actually be a precursor to the breakout as well. So we've got to pay attention to liquidity dance, because if you take a look here, we're going sideways, and prior to this breakout, this was coming down and making lower lows and lower highs, okay? But at the moment, we're sort of finding some kind of floor here. So if it starts to do what it did last year, where it breaks down, it could be a precursor to the fact we're going to get a huge vertical and a big breakout for XRP. So this is why we have to pay attention to the data and the structure in the charts, and this is why I created this indicator for you called the liquidity dance, which you can get on CoinsKid.com and equally in your trading view charts. So all eyes on liquidity dance. We're looking for something like that where we bottomed and we do start to create this lower low structure, and you can see it was doing it prior to XRP breaking out. So it's range, then it broke out, and this was already breaking down, showing us that liquidity was coming into the market. So this is why I created this indicator for you. It's a precursor to dumps and pumps, okay? So all eyes on liquidity dance. We have to see this. If it does start to break down and XRP is ranging, going sideways or whatever, then we've got to clue that it eventually do that like it did that just there, okay? So equally what we've got, if you take a look on the CoinsKid ribbon, we've got an impulsive move, went sideways. Once the ribbon flipped red, that represented the bottom. We've come up, gone sideways on the ribbon. If you take a look at that, we went red. A few days later, we may have bottomed here for XRP, okay? So I wish it, I wish it almost look. I hope it is the bottom, but we've got to see a little bit more structure and data before we can get excited about, okay, that was your bottom. And one of the key things we have to see is this blue line breaking down, just like it did there. And it was a precursor to the big pump. Hope you understand the update. Stay up for 6 on, stay tuned. Take care, everyone. Back to an update on XRP. Bye-bye.